My name is Shri Thanedar. I'm calling from the United States, and I'm excited to join Spotlight with Sandhya.
Shri, thank you for joining us today. You're a scientist, you're a millionaire businessman, and an author. One would think these are enough accomplishments in a lifetime. To top it all, you've just had a fantastic win. You've been elected as a member of the House of Representatives in Michigan with a thumping majority, 93%. Congratulations.
Thank you, Sandhya.
You've led a very action-packed life, Shri. I've been reading your book, The Blue Suitcase, where you talk about your journey from Belgaum in Karnataka, India, where you were born, to the United States, where you landed with just $20 in your pocket. I must say, I'm awed by your indomitable spirit. I was discussing your recent win with a buddy of mine, Professor Rajiv Gowda, and he pointed out something very interesting, that you had a substantial backing from the African American communities, which is rather rare for an Indian in US, because usually Indian politicians there tend to be in white dominated areas. How did you manage to swing this?
Well, I ran for governor of the state of Michigan 2 years ago in 2018. And during that time, I traveled all across Michigan. Especially, I traveled a lot in the major city, which is Detroit. And I saw that in Detroit, I saw two kinds of Detroit: a rich, very prosperous downtown Detroit, and the neighborhoods, which have not changed for decades. I've seen a lot of poverty, people, 30–40% of the people at or below poverty. I saw schools and education system that was not equitable with rest of the state of Michigan. I saw crime, and yet I saw people that want to succeed, people that want to get good education and raise their families in a safe environment. And I felt that all of my life, last 20–30 years, I'm running a small business, creating wealth for my family. I have achieved my American dream. And we define American dream is that our children have better life than we did. And I felt that that American dream is fading all across America. So even though I came as an immigrant, I got so many opportunities and I succeeded and I did good for my family. I felt at this stage in my life, I owe it to America. I owe it to my fellow citizens. I owe it to them. I need to go do good for other people, help other people achieve their American dream, achieve a better quality of life. And with that thought, I decided to be done with my business. I sold my business, took some money that I got, gave it to my employees, many of my employees, and then took some of that money and ran my campaign for governor. And later I decided to run for state representative in Detroit, because I got a lot of love in Detroit. I got a lot of appreciation, and I really felt at home in Detroit. And that's why I chose the city of Detroit to begin my political career.
So what did you do differently this time around after contesting earlier for the governor's post? And I must say that was extremely ambitious, aiming for the governor's post in your very first attempt in politics.
That's right, because the governor is like a chief minister. He or she runs the entire state, just like how the United States president runs the country. So it is a very important position, and I chose that because I wanted to make the most impact on people's lives. The state representative post is more like a member of the assembly or the House of Representatives. I'm one of the 110 representatives. So my focus is on education. My focus is on bringing prosperity to the neighborhoods of Detroit. So that's with that mind, I'm going to the capital of Michigan, the city of Lansing.
So let's step back to the point where you were an academic, you were a scientist. What prompted you to become an entrepreneur in the first place?
Well, a lot of times I've seen the growth that happened in my life because I got denied something. I was working in a small chemical company in the state of Missouri back in 1990. And I wanted to get promoted and wanted to go up in the corporate ladder. I went and got an MBA so that in addition to my scientific training, I would also have management training. And my supervisors and the head of the company denied me an opportunity to get ahead into the higher, more responsible position. And at that point, I felt that I want to control my own destiny. And with that in mind, I decided to enter and become an entrepreneur. Often when you start a business, you have an idea or you have some money to invest, and I had neither. So I bought a little company, 3-person company, for $75,000, taking a loan from a bank and putting just $3,000 as a working capital that was from my credit card. And that's how I started my business, and I grew to all over America. I had branches all over America in 2010, and the business has almost 500 employees.
And that was a chemical business, right? That's your area of expertise as a
Yes,
scientist?
yes, chemical, and we developed new pharmaceuticals. So we were a research and development for new pharmaceuticals, and we provided that as a research and development services to pharmaceutical companies.
So, as it happens sometimes in life, your first business went bust, but that didn't keep you down. You went on to start yet another business and you prospered again. Where did you find the strength and determination to keep going?
My mother was a strong woman, even though she had not had much education. She got married at a very early age, but my mother was a strong woman, and she raised a family of 6 sisters and 2 boys, and my dad, so 10 of us. And our family fell into financial hardship. And my mother stood strong and gave us the value system, taught us how never to give up. No matter how bad things could be, I have never seen her sad for more than a moment. And then she'll pull herself up and fight. And that's what I learned from her, to fight and not give up. And so the larger, every time I get defeated or I'm humiliated or I have a major setback, I come back with more energy to fight that situation, and I overcome it. And the bigger the defeat, the bigger the loss, the higher is my jump and the higher is my achievement. That's how I have done. At one time when my children were 4-year and 8-year-old, 2 boys, and I lost their mother, my wife, my first wife, to mental illness. And that was very, very tough on me. It was very tough on my boys. And many a times life gives us failures and setbacks. And it is our decision how we want to address that. Do we want to put our head down and feel depressed and feel that we can't get out of that? Or are we going to fight that situation and make things better? And that's what I did. I fought very hard. I took care of my children. I took care of myself in that hard situation. 3 years later, I met a wonderful woman. Her name is Shashi, and she helped me put our home back together. A broken family, this wonderful woman. And I have a lot of respect for my mother. I have a lot of respect for Shashi, who put our home together again. gave the warmth and the love to our children and made this a home again. So we got to, and things that I learned is that I got to fight. And my mother is my idol. I wish she was here to see me take oath of the office. And I missed her every day, but I missed her a lot when I was taking oath for the office.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story, and I'm sure she would rejoice at all that you made of your life, and especially the oath that you took to serve the people of your city and your state.
The Windflower Resorts Spa. Come, take advantage.
Something that I read struck me very much. Several years ago, when you were running your very successful first business, you won the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. And when the bank foreclosed on your office, amongst the few positions that you walked away was the award. But then you went on to win the same award again some years later.
I won that award again, Entrepreneur of the Year award.
Dr. Shri Thanedar. I am so glad.
So tell us, did you do anything differently the second time around while building your business that helped you come back?
Yes. So, I learned from my mistakes. Even though I grew that business well, the business focus, 90% of my business became focused on early stage drug development. Now, when the economy is good, early stage drug development gets invested a lot. But in recession or when the economy is down, nobody wants to invest in early stage drug development because it's a long process and money is scarce. So in bad economic times, people only invest in the late stage technology. And that's the reason why my business failed. And so when I started my new business, I made it recession proof so that the new business that I built was diversified in its offering and its services, so it will not fail in a bad economic times. And the second business that I grew rapidly. In 6 years, we went from 0 to 12 million in revenues, and we had 50 good paying jobs that I created here in Michigan. And at that point, then I got that award, Entrepreneur of the Year award in Michigan. And I felt when I was holding that award for the third time that I have achieved so much for my family, but I have an obligation to my fellow citizens. And that's what is important for me. And with that thought, I decided I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing public service. And that's when I decided to run for election. So I am blessed with a wonderful family who's very supportive of my new career to be in public service and make a difference in people's lives.
Do you have any message for people who would be interested in running for public service?
Well, I haven't really, I'm not an expert in this area for me to give advice to others. But, it's more important that you have to be passionate about public service. You have to be passionate about making a difference in people's lives. And you got to have the strong will. You got to have, because politics is not easy. Like, for example, the Michigan Senate and the House is a divided government because the other party, Republican Party, has majority in the Senate and the House. So my party, the Democrats, are in minority. However, the governor of the state is a Democrat. So we have a divided government, and that means to get things done, we need to work with the other party. And so it's not easy, and one must be passionate about wanting to help and be willing to take on, because when you get elected, often half of the people have different views than you do. And you need to be able to represent all of the people, because that's what you've been elected for. That is what is your job. So I think the critical thing is honesty, critical thing is transparency, and a dedication. This is a 24/7 job. You're working every waking hour of the day. You are focusing on your job. You're thinking about making a difference in people's lives.
I think, like you said, dedication is very, very key. You can learn to get along if you have the big picture of helping people who have voted for you or who may not even have voted for you. That's the main point of winning an election like this. Did the Kamala Harris wave have anything to do with your victory also, do you think?
Well, President-elect Joe Biden chose his vice president, Kamala Harris, who is an African-American descent. She is Indian-American descent. She's a woman of color. And he made history. And she's, I believe, the first vice president of color, a woman of color in the United States. And we're very, very proud of her. And I'm very appreciative of President Biden to have chosen her. And I think this is a very proud moment. And every little girl in America, or maybe the whole world, must be thinking that if Kamala Harris could be the vice president of the United States, then I can be somebody someday. And, I think that created such a joy for girls all across the world, that a girl can achieve her dreams just like a boy can achieve his dreams. I'm so excited. I'm privileged to meet Kamala Harris in Detroit, and she is an amazing person.
That's wonderful. I think all of us have been very excited about the positive turn of events that are taking place. And do you have anything to say about the drugs that are being developed to fight the coronavirus, since your background is in pharmaceuticals?
COVID-19 is once in a lifetime pandemic. Many people who cannot afford good health care, many people who have not had access to health care in the past have been victims of COVID-19. This is a learning experience, and it is our responsibility to help people get over this. And I'm so glad that the world scientists have devoted their time in developing many, many candidates vaccines. There are 2 candidates of vaccines in the United States that have 90+% efficacy. And it is important now to produce those vaccines in mass quantities and provide that free of cost to all the people, and preferably giving it first to people who need it the most and the people who are most vulnerable to this infection. And as a pharmaceutical scientist, I cannot be any more proud of the men and women, the scientists who have developed this vaccine in a record time. And very soon, I am very optimistic that we will get over this pandemic.
That's wonderful to hear, Shri. And, just before we wind up, I want to know, do you still have links to family back here in Karnataka, in Belgaum?
Yes, I have sisters and family in Bengaluru, right?
Right.
In Belgavi. Even though my mother and father have passed away, I have sisters and a brother in India.
Thank you, Shri, for taking the time to be in the spotlight with Sandhya. We look forward to your career and all that you're going to achieve.
It's been a pleasure to be on the spotlight with Sandhya.
And to our viewers, do comment, like, and share this interview. We look forward to your comments. You can also listen to this interview as a podcast on Spotify. Until I'm back again with another interesting guest, stay safe. Bye-bye.
Windflower Resorts Spa. Come, take advantage.